Now, Trippie Redd, yeah, I was thinking about something. Have we reached peak Trippie Redd? What do you think? So I was bumping a little bit of Trippie Redd's music and started thinking about this conversation. I mentally started analyzing his career over these past couple years, and it got me thinking, man, have we now in 2021, as we speak, reached peak Trippie Redd? You know what? I got a couple things to say about that, so yeah. Let's talk about it. Now, Trippie Redd, I think most people are familiar with Trippie, no introduction needed. Despite the fact that Trippie isn't in the headlines as much as he used to be, he's definitely here to stay. I think Trippie has not only made his mark in the game, but he's most definitely progressed and improved overall as an artist. Simply put, Trippie has showed a lot of range. He's also showed that he's unique in his own way. Personally, I don't think Trippie's music is groundbreaking at all, but I can say with confidence that no one really sounds like him. When you think about Trippie Redd, you think about Trippie Redd, and that holds a lot of weight. With that being said, Trippie has definitely improved as an artist ever since he came in the game, man. Also, I think he's done a really good job at coming into his own by developing a sound that's not only very recognizable, but it's very unique to the kind of artist he is. And I think this is huge because, like a lot of us know, Trippie entered the industry being brushed off as a Lil Uzi Vert clone. If you guys remember, he was facing a lot of those Uzi comments when he initially entered the scene. It does kind of make sense though. I mean, at that point, he was far from standing on his own sound-wise, and the Uzi resemblance was definitely there. It was just a matter of time before that clone talk took a backseat though, and that happened when people realized that this new Trippie Redd guy actually has a little bit of potential. Life's a Trip is definitely the best work Trippie has put out thus far though. Overall, just a really dope body of work. The most mature Trippie has ever sounded if you ask me. Trippie sounded a little too rough for my taste in the early stages of his career. He was doing a lot of that screaming. You know exactly what I'm talking about. He was doing a lot of that without really channeling that wild energy and intensity into grounding himself in a sound that was natural to him. However, Life's a Trip is when all that changed. That project seems to be the project that universally changed a lot of people's perspective of Trippie's music. Ever since then, 2018, that's when Life's a Trip came out, Trippie has of course dropped a handful of projects. Some of them have done better than others. Ever since then though, man, I haven't heard anything from Trippie that's blew my mind. He's not as, I want to say, innovative as he used to be. Now, positioning wise, Trippie is in a very comfortable spot in the industry, that's obvious. However, with him not really pushing the boundaries like he used to, I think he's stagnated a little bit. Something like Mr. Rage is definitely a good example of what pushing the boundaries for Trippie looks like. That song was heavily anticipated up until its release. It of course ended up dropping back in May, and it was a success. A lot of people are messing with that one, and I think that's the creative risk Trippie is missing nowadays. As far as I can hear, he's kind of been going through the motions for a while by staying within his own little bubble. One advantage Trippie does have is the fact that he has such a distinct sound and voice. Like I said earlier, no one really sounds like Trippie, at least vocally speaking, so him doubling down on what he's good at and laser focusing on the sound he's known for isn't inherently bad. It's only bad if we're talking about whether or not he'll be able to reach that next level doing what he's currently doing. I also think one big thing Trippie's currently lacking as far as his career and how things are going for him is a couple really impactful moments as in songs. Just a couple random examples. As an example, when you think about the peak of a guy like Polo, a bunch of different songs come to mind. Pop Out, very early in his journey, his first big moment, right? And then Go Stupid, a song that served as the prelude for that next stepping stone. And then Rap Star, that's like the ultimate boom. Regarding Polo, by the way, really quickly, I did leave out Finer Things for reasons I'm not gonna go too deep into, but simply put, Finer Things wasn't really that first big moment, right? Pop Out, on the other hand, compared to Finer Things, was his first big splash in the industry. And on top of that, Pop Out got that number 11 Billboard placement, which Finer Things didn't. Anyway, I digress. Continuing with the examples, or take a guy like Roddy Ricch. Die Young, that first big moment, and then Every Season took off right after, so that doesn't even count as a prelude. However, Ballin' by Mustard does, which was an extremely big song, right? And then The Box was like that ultimate boom. Connecting this to Trippie Redd, Trippie has had big songs and has had impactful moments in his career, which have forcefully pushed him forward and got him to where he's currently at. But just like I said in that Lil TJ video, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I was talking about having a run, right? And that's something TJ I feel like is missing in his career. That's why he hasn't propelled to the top like some of his peers. I think the same thing can be applied to Trippie's case. However, in Trippie's case, the thing that's allowed him to not have one of those runs but still come out on top is the fact that he had a little clout chasing era when he was first coming up. That entire era of Trippie very much fueled a lot of his success early on in his career. I bet you haven't forgotten it, but remember his beef with the late X and his extensive beef with 6ix9ine that led to Trippie being in the spotlight for a while? Now, even though all that clout chasing undoubtedly stained Trippie's name and just overall reputation, it led to people people talking about Trippie, people hating on him, and then people eventually checking out his music and realizing that Trippie Redd is actually talented. There's a reason why Trippie Redd, despite the level of clout chasing he was partaking in back then, at the end of the day managed to stay relevant in the genre. It's very simple, but Trippie Redd is talented. He makes some good ass music. And even though I despise any sort of clout chasing activities rappers partake in, I can't deny that it actually ended up benefiting him because he got a lot of attention. Yes, was for a while the rapper a lot of people were clowning, but at the end of the day, Trippie Redd stopped all the clout antics after he benefited from it. Now the end result of that would have been completely different if Trippie Redd was a whack artist, which he's not. And this is why I actually think the Trippie Redd fell off comments are actually a thing in this conversation. Even though I don't see a lot of those comments, there is a lot of people who think that Trippie Redd fell off. And no, Trippie Redd hasn't fallen off. However, the contrast between the amount of publicity he was getting in his clout chasing days compared to now is night and day. And that gives off the perception that he's fading away solely because he's not all up in your face like he used to be in the past. And this goes hand in hand with something I said earlier, but Trippie hasn't had a big moment. He hasn't had The Box, he hasn't had a Lucid Dreams, he hasn't had a rap star. So he's been hovering at the same kind of level for some time now without really surpassing that specific level. And I think this is the case because he just hasn't had an ultra big record. On top of that, Trippie hasn't had enough momentum to the point where his entire movement elevates a couple notches in a really short amount of time. Now, the Kid Laroi is actually a great example of what I'm talking about right now. With the help of one song, which is Stay, it's doing phenomenal as we speak. Laroi has close to doubled his Spotify listeners in a little over a month with the help of this one record. The amount of success the song is having right now is insane. Kind of reminds me of when the late Juice was making his mark with Lucid Dreams, just a really big splash in a game. This splash is even more impactful for someone like Laroi because unlike when Juice was coming up, Laroi has actually had a little bit of momentum already going into this phase. And that's kind of what I'm talking about as far as Trippie. Definitely something he's yet to experience, but when he does, it's gonna be a movie for him. The level Trippie's currently at as far as the quality of his work and how relevant he is right now is definitely the peak of Trippie Redd for now. Do I think he's somehow soon maybe gonna blow through that peak? Well, you already know how I like to end a lot of these conversations we have, right? Only time will tell. That's right. But yeah, Trippie Redd, yeah. With the way I'm hitting those vocals, man, Trippie might have a little competition, I'm just saying. Anyway, the peak of Trippie Redd, just a conversation I felt like having, okay? I just felt like it. Don't think there's too many conversations being started about Trippie at the moment, so I wanted to be the initiator of it. That's what I do, right? Anyway, any thoughts on Trippie's career at the moment? Do you think he's reached the pinnacle of his career for now or nah? Definitely let me know in the comment section. Well, let's talk about this.